Welcome back to the Miami Marlins franchise. This is a big day for the series. In year 2, we selected Hank Holder as our #1 pick. With Hank, we have a generational shortstop who can be the face of this franchise. He has elite upside with the bat, in the field, and on the base paths. And here past the midway point in his first season, Hank Holder leads the Rookie of the Year race. He is already an 86 overall after starting as an 83. I saw from many of you in the comments that Hank Holder is the best prospect you've ever seen in MLB The Show. He is a rare player, which is why he is the one player I've had in my franchises that skipped the minor leagues at 18 years old. And with that being said, as we look to restore the Miami Marlins as a franchise, Hank Holder is going to be the face of this team, and I want to make him a long-term contract offer today. I've made my decision. I think this is the right move for us. In Miami, we do have one of the lowest budgets in baseball, so moves like this need a ton of thought put into it. But what we have here with Hank Holder is a player who's 86 overall and clearly ascending. The way contracts work in MLB is players need 6 years of service time before they reach free agency, which is why you see so many teams manipulate service time so that players can't accrue that 6th year, usually until their 7th. But basically, you get 3 years of cheaper contract value, but then arbitration comes around, and that was made an emphasis in MLB The Show 25. Players demand much higher arbitration salaries now in this game. It makes the game a lot more realistic, which I obviously like. But as a team builder, it gives me an added challenge. Our highest paid player is Ryan Weathers, a 79 overall pitcher. Pitchers have a lot of value, and he's in the second to last year of arbitration. It would be a shock if Hank Holder is not a 90 at some point next year and eventually a 99 overall player. And playing shortstop, one of the most valuable positions, means he could have one of the biggest contracts in the league if we just wait this out. The thing is, though, is that if we play this just year by year, the big money for Hank doesn't show up in 2033. It shows up in 2030. And that's because of the caliber of player he is. Here is Elly De La Cruz. 96 overall. He now has 4 years of Major League service time, and he's in the first year of arbitration. He's already making $16.2 million. We could project Hank Holder to also be around that mark if he's a 96 overall in a few years from now. Then you have Gunnar Henderson, who's a 99, a little bit higher than Elly. He's in his second to last arbitration year. The number's already 20.5. If we pay Hank Holder big money right now, he'll make the same amount every year because in MLB 25 you can't front or backload deals anymore, so contracts are flat. But essentially, he's going to make big money once he hits arbitration anyway, given where his ratings are. So if the only cheaper years we get with Hank Holder are this current season and the next 2, let's get a deal done now before those numbers get any larger. And I think we get just a little bit more flexibility if we instead do 9 years instead of 10. And we have signed Hank Holder to a deal. And it's actually for a little bit less than I thought it may be. I think it's easier to do these contract re-signings during the year because you get that immediate feedback rather than simming and seeing if they take the deal in the off-season. But we have now signed Hank Holder, and he is set to make $22.9 million a season. This is a 9-year, $206 million contract. The way I look at it, the only thing we lose out on is flexibility in 2028 and 2029. And I don't see that being a championship window for us that we need to have available. 22.9 is a solid number considering our budget and the caliber of player Holder is. The top shortstops in the league that get big free agent deals will make 30, 35, and I don't know if in this series it'll go higher than that. Carlos Correa makes 33.3, so Holder's going to make 2/3 of that essentially. This is a move similar to what Kansas City did when they signed Bobby Witt to an 11-year deal. That was a $288 million extension, and he's going to make $26.3 million. We're signing Hank a little bit earlier in that timeline, so we get a slight discount from the Bobby Witt deal. But I think this move was necessary to see how I can piece everything together in future years, knowing Hank Holder is going to be a part of this team, and it's just easier to have this contract done. The next big contract we have to worry about is Yuri Perez, if we want to make a similar type of move. He is going to enter his arbitration years next season, and I expect we'll get a lot more than Ryan Weathers. And keep in mind that Perez at 90 overall is exactly at his potential rating right now. But there is some excitement to begin the episode. We have our guy signed to a long-term deal. And if he's going to be making that big shortstop money, it's time to start getting him that playing time at shortstop. We're going to move Otto Lopez to third base then in the meantime. And at 55 and 64, we continue on after signing Hank Holder. We are also close to a debut for Johnny Grieve. I'm giving him a little more time down at AAA after recovering from the broken leg. But we got to get in the first game with Hank Holder as the Marlins everyday shortstop now. And we face Paul Blackburn. Wow, all three series are colliding here. Blackburn was the opening day starter of the A's franchise, but now he's on the Cardinals, who are facing my Marlins right now. This is awesome. On the ground and off the glove at second. If you make one mistake, you're not getting Hank with that 99 speed. It's an E4 on Nolan Gorman, so he's not going to get a hit, but we can work on getting a steal. And he's in there. Otto Lopez hitting fourth. And hits one high, deep to left, but playable. Jack Leiter is on the mound today, and he's been in better form than where he started things. And here's Hank at short. Brendan Donovan, one of my favorite players of the Cardinals series, gives him his first opportunity. Perfect throw. Top six and a scoreless game still. A good day for Paul Blackburn. And wow. That is impressive work by Nolan Arenado, as always. So like we all expected, the episode begins with a Jack Leiter, Paul Blackburn pitcher's duel. And here in the sixth, it's Hank. Perfect. By the way, Blackburn has a no-hitter in the works until we get a couple seventh-inning singles. But we still don't get that first run. Bases loaded for Cardinals franchise legend Jordan Walker. And where's that one going? It's into left center. We can't make a play on that. I'm sorry, I don't know where to go. But 2-run score. No. The Cardinals call upon Robert Suarez in the eighth. There's 101 top shelf as Hank gets ahead. Got him on a changeup. And Hank is now 0 for 4 on the day. Well, not what I had in mind. We got shut out with 2 hits. So realistically, I don't think we're a playoff team this year. But mathematically, we're very much in the hunt. 5.5 games back. And we just happen to be taking on the team in first place. 2-1 Fish. Yuri Perez in the 4th inning. That's a lot of speed standing on first base. Runner takes off on the second pitch. We're going to have to just take the play to first. Now, in signing Hank Holder and potentially making a move with Yuri Perez, obviously the more money we tie up, the more kind of money ball I have to play. Not really the traditional money ball, but just we have to play that game of finding players with lower value that we can get production out of. Moves like the Estieri Ruiz deal have worked out. I think the Alec Thomas signing has also worked out. We have to find bargains for under $5-6 million sometimes. So I'm excited to continue doing that. It's kind of a fun puzzle to piece together. And a fair ball down the line from Acuna. And now Thomas with trouble in the corner. The rain is pouring. This is a miserable play, and it's an RBI triple. My God, that was terrible. I watched the White Sox the other night against the Brewers do like the same thing. Just little league defense across the board. That was... I don't want to be thinking of the White Sox defensively when we're in this series. Deep drive right field. That's at least one. Thomas can't get it. Another extra base hit for New York. Oh, you gotta be kidding me, man. Sanoja throws Myers off the bag. It's an E4. This is where in basketball they'd call a timeout. We don't need a mound visit. We need everybody to just take a timeout. Thank you for being way ahead of it. Base hit right field. Perez losing his touch. Defense atrocious. There we go. We have to just not let him put it in play right now. How did you guys get Kobe Mayo? I wish that the CPU was a little more hesitant to trade away prospects all the time. 3-2 and another hit, man. This team is bad at being 1,000 here in the fourth inning. And the entire complexion of this game has changed here in a really rough fourth inning for Yuri Perez. It is a Mets win, and when they have a day like that against our ace, and they send us a game further back in last, that's going to dry up a lot of optimism. The next day, I have a chance to pitch with Troy Gates. I'm taking it. 1-run game, and the Mets have a man on with Troy Gates. I traded for him last season in the Jesus Tinoco deal, and he's put together a really strong all-around season. Gates has a 4-pitch mix, pretty good velo on the fastball, also a splitter and slider. I'll have to see which of those two pitches is kind of more his 2-strike chase pitch. Not this again. First and second. Ryan Clifford. Mets trying to rally here in the 8th inning. I got really attached to Emilio Pagan's splitter. Really can't believe I'm saying that right now, but it was just so good like every outing I had. Those two don't work for us. And that one goes well low, and it's 3-2. We just need one out here to finish the inning. And it's Gates. Grounded up the middle. And Sanoja fires to Bride. Why was the cut? Why was he the cut? There were two guys between home plate and Sanoja. This is Conine. I wasn't sure he was making it. Tie game now as we head into the 9th. Griffin Conine has gotten some playing time since being called up, and it's gone really well for him. So I'd like to get him some more playing time down the stretch, especially if we fall out of the playoff hunt. I'm just excited it's year 3 and we're in the hunt in August. That's progress. Conine bounces one to short. And we'll attempt to force extras. And it's Ronnie Enriquez entering the game. As long as he's not facing a lefty, he's been really on the money this year. We got 2 righties due up here in the 9th. 6.5 games back. Gotta be careful. That is hammered to left center. Caught up to it, and Siri comes a little bit shy of ending the game. Lined at Carter. There's a 1-pitch out. An 11-game hit streak on the line here. It's Luis Angel Acuna. And he's going to make it 12. And probably look to steal second, I'd have to imagine. We got to hold him a bit here. Doesn't go. Was anticipating he would here on the first pitch. I'm not sure Carrick's going to throw him out, though. We do got him playing a little bit closer to the bag now. So I guess I got what I wanted there. Nimmo falling behind, and now Carrick will not have Acuna taking second. We've been seeing those pitches in the dirt all season. Catcher defense has been a bit of a problem this year. Got him! Nimmo goes down, and we have extra innings. We'll make Estieri Ruiz the extra inning runner for us, and here is Dane Myers. And it's lined hard to third, and they nearly double us up. Man, it just feels like everything in play is going the way of the Mets in this episode. We can't even get a hit there. Carrig behind the runner, but he's out. Oh, thankfully we get Hank Holder here. Urseg pulls the string, getting ahead of Holder. He's been giving us that 102 in this at-bat. Got him on a slider. Could not get a piece of it. And now trying to keep them from winning it in 10. And it's Juan Soto at the plate. Jose Hernandez enters the game, and already he's moving up to third. No way. We need catchers that can handle a slider every now and then, but I guess that was a pretty bad one. Yeah, that's the game. Mets beat us again. We've had a couple really frustrating games here. We've now lost 5 of our last 6. Noble Meyer in his next start is going deep into this game with 6 innings, and he ends up helping us get a win. Overall, a 7-inning outing, giving the bullpen some rest this time around. Soriano gets the save. Snelling then follows it up, and this would help us achieve a split if we could pull it off. Bases loaded for Connor Norby. Haven't had too many big leads lately. Here's a chance. Wow. I need a good hit right now just to make things feel right again at the plate. Come on, Connor. You got to help me out a little bit. Nope. Strike 3 from Savali. Jonah Bride, 17 home runs. Early on a lot of stuff right now. He has, I think now, either passed Hank Holder or tied him in home runs. That's ripped! Deep left! Carrying! Out of here! It's an 0-2 grand slam for Jonah Bride. The slump-busting grand slam. This is why I can't trade the guy. Stop calling me asking for Jonah Bride. 5-0 Marlins. I needed that so badly. And that's what I'm talking about, Alec Thomas. The numbers have fallen quite a bit for him. But I think that the good play was at least enough to raise some ratings, which is a win. Griffin Conine. Let's see if we can keep it up. Nope. That's going to be... Ooh, what a throw. And the Marlins take this game with Jonah Bride playing a very big role in it. Not just the grand slam, but he hit a solo shot as well. And we end up recovering this series after losing the first 2 we split. 57-67. You know, the creator in me says this would be a good one to save for the next episode. Easy title and thumbnail opportunity. But I think now is the time, and we are going to be making the move. And it's a big day in the series now because Johnny Grieve is going to be added to the Major League roster. I gave him like a good week down at AAA. Show he's back from the broken leg. He's gotten some hits. And now, let's see if he can boost play at the Major League level. Welcome, Johnny Grieve, to the show. We're only a couple weeks from September call-ups, but I want to give him more at-bats, and I want it to start now. Dane Myers hasn't played that well this season, only batting 192. This could end up being kind of his last year with us in the series, as I want to get our bench younger and develop some more players. So he is going down to AAA, and Johnny Grieve is going to be working himself into some everyday playing time. And I think we're going to give Xavier Edwards a chance to do some DHing and give Johnny some reps at second base, which will definitely improve the infield defense. And really what the better idea probably is to just have him play his true position and Otto Lopez goes to second base, rather than have two guys playing a secondary spot. And while Thomas is kind of cold right now, it might not be a bad idea to give Griffin Conine some more of those right field reps. He only has 25 at-bats at the majors this season. We have to increase that sample. And this is big for the series because we never got to have this moment in the Cardinals franchise, where that first pick of the entire series has the chance to make their debut. The Cardinals series was different. The team ended up coming together with the existing roster, so I traded away our number one pick. In this series, we're going to have to draft, develop, and use those players. So here is Johnny Grieve's MLB debut. Starting over at third base against Ian Happ, who wanted nothing to do with us in the offseason. That's okay, Evan Carter's our friend now. Yeah, he's not getting him here. Too long of a run for Johnny. Let's see if Gritchick gives us one here. And on the backhand, Johnny Grieve with his first Major League putout. Showing off a pretty strong arm over there. And now time for his first big league at-bat. The first picks of year one and year two are now at the majors. Jose Soriano misses low. Johnny is a contact-first hitter. Should be a high on-base guy. Maybe ends up playing similarly to Xavier Edwards with time. His ratings aren't nearly that good, but they have the potential to get there. When I drafted Johnny, he had a potential of 86, and he's gone up 6 overall points since I drafted him. That one nearly catches the fresh elbow guard I gave him. If it's your first big league at-bat with 2 outs in the inning, you probably don't want to be swinging 3-0, and even if I tried, it wouldn't have let me. It's a 4-pitch walk. Estieri Ruiz, by the way, has like 90-something batting clutch, so I want to have him maybe hit a little bit higher. It's tough because I only have 9 spots. I'm already having guys like Lopez hit higher than maybe some teams would. Ruiz goes down swinging. Grieve was considered our 3rd prospect and the 38th overall in baseball. I'll have to see where that ranks in terms of third baseman. I'm not sure Soriano is going to give us a strike in this game. Oh, I wanted that one. Bounced it. And picking that up at third base, Grieve is retired. Got to work a bit more on my swing selection here. I've been swinging way too much. Johnny's going to face the young Ben Joyce now. And that fastball is going to be cooking in the triple digits. There's 99. And 100. Got him! That was a tough at-bat with those pitches. It's all halos in this game, 9-2. And Johnny now, it's all up to you with us down 7. No pressure. Literally no pressure, we're losing this game. And it's a drive. Left center and hit well. Johnny Greaves' first hit will come at a strange time to celebrate. On the brink of losing. I always think about this when I see a guy like get his first career hit in this spot. You want to be excited, but you also got to be a professional. You're down 7. Okay, collect that baseball. And let's see if Ruiz can bring him home. Johnny Grieve has a double. And that's going to be rolled over. And that game is over. Angels win. I drafted Johnny in the first round of 2025, of course. He was our first pick. The Angels' first pick that year was Jason Sellers. He's on the mound here in our next game. All right, Johnny was considered the number 2 third base prospect in baseball. Michael Kirby is up to the 24th ranked prospect, but he's still an ETA at 2031. I don't think they should have anybody in the top 100 that's more than 2 years out. I want to know who's ready to make an impact more in the short, medium term. Not when 90% of your roster is going to look different. That's going to be rolled over to Johnny. And this reshaped infield puts together a double play for Yuri Perez. And now Sellers versus Grieve. I forget what pick Sellers was taken with. He might have been a top 3 pick if the Angels picked that high. One on here for Johnny. Turns it down the left field line. And that'll be a hit. Johnny has to return Johnny. It's a single. And Johnny's fired up about it. He didn't get too excited about his first career hit, but this one, now it's time to celebrate. Jason Sellers picks up out number 1 via strikeout. The count goes full. Sellers has him way out in front. Xavier Edwards now. Fly ball. Shallow. Inning over. Angels up 1-0 in the 4th. It's a ground ball. We'll go 2. And again, 5-4-3 double play. Calling behind here against Sellers. Popped him up on a curveball left up. That's one Johnny should be annihilating in a couple of years. But again, the Marlins not playing well. We haven't scored. Sellers is out. And they put up a 5 spot in the 5th inning. Line to third base. Johnny Grieve retired. Marlins still scoreless. Grieve flies one. That heads out to deep right field. And it's caught on the track. The game is not over. Here in the 9th, we have a triple, a couple singles, an error to extend. So we're down 5 with the bases loaded. Slider away, gets Krause ahead. Got him. That's a strikeout, and the Angels take the first 2 of this series, as it looks like our playoff odds are drying up. Again, we end up having to take on the Mets here at home, and we're now 7 games out of first place, but first place is now owned by Atlanta. I forgot to do this earlier with Johnny Grieve being called up, but I haven't given you all a good prospect update here in a while. I still think I want to do a prospect stream to get some more clips and some playing time with these guys, and I think a lot of you would still enjoy watching a prospect stream. But I kind of want to move up a couple guys from the single-A teams. So we're going to get Benny Piazza there at Double-A. We traded for him. And then I've been thinking if Andreas Ruiz, Nelson Aiden, if they're starting to get more ready to play. I look at the offensive numbers and feel a lot better about Ruiz. His offense so far is just better. We're going to bump him up. Oh, this is exciting here. Joe Brown has played well at AA this year. His reward? Now up to B potential. I guess I'll have to look and see if potential has changed on many of these players. It's one of those things where if you're not checking stuff all the time, you can miss it. And it didn't just get bumped up to an 80. It got bumped up to an 81. So that's +2 potential on Joe Brown. I guess I got to check out Johnny Greaves' potential here. 86. That's what I drafted him at. It doesn't change for many players, but when I see it change for some, I immediately want to check everybody. Here are the current top prospects here in the organization. Michael Kirby was a draft pick of ours in Season 2, a competitive balance B pick. Vladimir Ortiz, acquired in the trade with the Rangers this year that sent them Jesus Sanchez and Edward Cabrera. Johnny Grieve, of course. Nelson Aiden. Andreas Ruiz. Starlin Caba. Definitely a player I am looking to trade at some point. He can only play short, and I think we know who's going to be holding that spot down. So I would like to swap Caba for a prospect somewhere else. But this is a look at the spreadsheet I keep track of where I can see just the growth of players. The main thing I do this is so I know where players were taken, and then the difference column tells me how many overall points they've gotten better since drafting them. And sometimes I can see certain guys are developing slower or faster than others. You'll also notice 6th rounder last year, J.J. Kohler, is crossed off. I have no idea how this happened, but Kohler is now on the Angels. I don't remember cutting him. I don't remember any conflict with him on the roster. I don't know why he's there now. I checked the roster history and they added him through free agency. So at some point he was not signed. I don't know how, but he's with them now. Now that we've had some big call-ups this year, you're probably thinking about, okay, which players are next in line? Johnny and Noble Meyer have gotten the call-ups recently. I think next is probably going to be Chet Sparbory and Joe Brown, and that's more so for next year. I do think Sparbory has a really good starting upside with this team, and Alec Thomas is our experiment for this year, but I think we'd all see Sparbory as being a superior overall player, and unless Thomas were to take a big leap, Sparbory would probably be moving his way into right field. That's his true position. Good defender, good speed, and unlike many of our players on this team, he hits lefties well. And then also Joe Brown, especially getting this potential boost that puts his offensive upside even higher. And if he plays first base, you can get by at times with lesser defense. So we could play him at first. We could DH him. But I do think he's probably already pretty close to being a major league hitter. And with Vision and Clutch where they are, I could see him being a pretty good one early. There's just not much of a need to rush things along and instead just keep him developing down at the minor leagues right now. When it comes to starting pitchers, because I think we're always going to be needing new starting pitchers, the next guy is going to be Thomas White, and he's not going to be listed here on the top prospects, I think because he's already made his debut and it was kind of shaky. But he hasn't had a chance to pitch this year at the majors after 30 rough innings a year ago, and I'd probably call him up soon if his numbers at AAA weren't kind of mediocre. At least he's developed well this year. When rosters expand, good chance he comes back up considering the options already spent. With Bobby Miller, I'm not bringing him back up this year. He was atrocious with us at the big leagues. But next year, if there's a spot available, I think he's going to have an opportunity to make the team, especially after going down to AAA, resetting, and pitching at a very high level. He went from being unrosterable at the majors to one of the best AAA pitchers. If Bobby Miller is a 4A player, that's unfortunate, but we'll give him another chance probably next season. And I've read the feedback on Ryan Weathers, and I do agree. We're probably going to see him go to a new team at some time next year. And actually, one thing I wanted to do is see if we could just work out a quick extension with him for 1 year. Because if I let it go to arbitration, then I can't trade him until he signs. But if I get him signed right now, I could trade him as soon as the off-season hits. And he's playing some serious hardball right now. Well, in that case, I might just have to go to arbitration and and then think about trading him right when spring training gets here, because he's driving a hard bargain. I kind of like that a lot of these players are doing this. They don't have a lot of arbitration years left. They're kind of thinking more like, let's get the long-term deal done. So even Otto Lopez is not taking a 1 year, $9 million right now. I guess this is a stage primarily for multi-year offers, and the offseason is for the 1 year deals. We lost 10-2 to the New York Mets. And how much of this came off Noble Meyer? 3 runs of it. The Mets score 9 the next day and hand us another loss, pretty much ensuring we're going to be stuck at the bottom of this division, or maybe in 4th place, but either way, the in the hunt possibilities don't look so good. Swept by the Mets, who now vault themselves back into a 1st place tie, and our next series is against ATL, and we are down another series. We're playing hard here against the Phillies. That's 3 consecutive wins kind of coming out of nowhere. Homers from Bride and Alec Thomas here in this case. Soriano gets save number 8. Don't suppose we could sweep them, but I suppose we have a chance. 4 apiece in the 4th. Evan Carter facing Andrew Painter, who in real life has just recently come back from a long injury recovery, and he's one of the top prospects in baseball. All the way out, and now a 3-2 count. And a drive from Carter, belted out to center. It's got Carey way out of here. 3-run homer, Evan Carter. And he is the first Marlin to clear 20 home runs, it appears, this season. That's 21. And now if we want to extend Evan Carter, that's a guy who's going to command a big contract as well. I have it in my notes, a 5-year offer for him. He'd be looking for $23.7 a year. So 5 years, $100+ million. Of course, at 24 years old, those are the types of players you want to be locking into a core. But we're not dealing with the same budget other teams are. And I don't use sponsorships and franchise to raise my budget. It's going to have to be done through team success only. So we'll have to see in the offseason what we're working with. I have notes here for a reason. And if we look at our $91 million payroll this year and the room we actually have, we're dealing with about a $150 million budget, which it feels better than where we started this series with. But we'll have to see if it goes up at all for next year and start to project things out. That's the thing with this team, is I have to operate always looking to the future and consider the ramifications of these moves. The other thing, too, you're probably wondering about is like, all right, how far into the future are we realistically going in this series? You know, we're on a pretty fast pace right now. And until we are in more of a contending shape, we're going to keep going quick. But I think even when we have that hopefully better team, I still think that we're going to be going faster than I did in like the A's and Cards series. We just have a good flow here. And I would only see seasons getting maybe a couple, 3 more episodes long. Like, think about it being another in real-time week. Well, made some good contact with Conine at least. I'll take it. I'm not getting the most out of these pitches right now. But I do see us going further than we did in the Cardinals series for sure. And I just think that although I'm going to be looking to do this series in less time, you know, not take it to next March like I did the A's series, I think we're going to go pretty far. And I can see us going through 8 to 10 seasons, just depending on how long the climb is. So we did just sweep the Phillies in a 4-game set. That's pretty incredible. And what that win did for us is match last year's win total. Actually clear it. We have 63 victories. We have topped last year's... Oh, we only had 60 last year. Man, we were bad. We just achieved, though, a not 100 loss season, and we've already cleared last year's win total with a month to go. Carter has just developed so well since joining us. He's even working on the weaknesses there against lefties. That's getting stronger. I've just really enjoyed hitting with him, and I'd like to hopefully do it for a while in this series. The more expensive contracts we have, though, the more cheap contracts we're going to need to fill in the gaps. And, you know, last episode I was talking about, I was cooking up a plan with Hank Holder, and really it was just like the idea of acquiring a bunch of guys that can make it to the bigs maybe 4 or 5 years from right now that can help fill in those gaps when the money starts to get tight. That's actually where I think we have a lot of value in guys like Nelson Aiden. He's not in the cards for us the next 3 years, but if he gets better, say 3-4 overall points a year, that puts him in the 70s 4 years from now when he could be at the bigs. And if we can get enough of that talent and maybe strategize in the draft to where we're also occasionally getting more players like Aaron Jackson. You know, Aaron Jackson's the perfect player. If you're in a bind, you've got, very little money to work with, high starting overall, low ceiling players that you don't have to spend a first round pick on. He was our 3rd selection. I mean, those are the kinds of players I think make that puzzle fit together. Let's get a player lock pitching game in here. We have Noble Meyer. And he's had some tough outings lately. Gave up 5 against Atlanta, 3 in 4 innings against the Mets. This is just the starting point for him. I'm kind of, indifferent to how a lot of these first years go with players. But if the struggles carry on into next year's spring, sometimes they don't make the team. Evan Carter singles us home a run, and we open bottom of the first. Nico Horner here in Wrigley Field. So we are starting to see that pitching pipeline come into play at the big league level. Meyer and Snelling are at the majors. We have Thomas White, who's close. And next year, I'm thinking the rotation is going to have Yuri Perez, probably those 3. And then the 5th option is kind of up for grabs. Could it be maybe a Bobby Miller as the runner goes? Carrig never had a chance. Weathers is pretty much as good as gone, though, I'd say. Just not going to make sense for us financially to pay him that much at his ratings. But Bobby Miller, Jack Leiter, surprise, pick up in the offseason or something. That would probably be your 5th starter next year. The toughest thing with some of these young pitchers is getting strikeouts. Dansby Swanson fouling off pitch after pitch. This is kind of the experience you get. These young pitchers can struggle putting away hitters. Now, what about our first round pick, Jorge Vizcaino? He's going to be a pretty divisive player, I think, until we see where things end up. Swanson flies this to right. So, when I saw he was hurt, it was kind of surprising because I'm like, how did I miss that? But I also thought, I miss a lot of things. Maybe I just completely overlooked it, looking at that 86 to 96 potential instead. But no, we had no indication that he was actually hurt. But he did skip his medical, the doctor stuff. But a lot of prospects do. Fly to right. Seiya Suzuki, foul. I don't know what to think about that pick right now because his skill set is so strange. That's a line out. With Vizcaino, all of his velos ended up lower than our scouting told us. They gave us a range. So I just think that developing him might be weird.
Ball, that's out.
He doesn't have an easily projectable skill set.
2 balls, no strike.
Also in that last episode, as everything's hit to the right side in this inning, and we keep the run from scoring. I looked through just so many prospects. I have a good feel for a lot of positions now throughout our franchise because I was trying to find good deadline deals that made sense for us. And then I got to looking like, okay, if I swap Starlin Caba for somebody, like what am I targeting? Because that's a really high-level prospect that can get us another really high prospect back. Has to be the right move. I'm now leaning towards another pitcher. That's a spot where you need 5 starters. It can easily get expensive, and we already have a guy like Perez. So consider if we're going to try to balance this on a scale. In an ideal world, Yuri Perez is already sitting on one end of that scale with a $20+ million weight on that side. The only way to balance it out is with cheap money on the other side and to get some higher upside arms that can develop over time. Got him there. Michael Busch strikes out. So I think in the offseason, it would be the right time to look at a trade of Caba for a pitcher. So, and maybe there's other moves that'll make sense, like prospect swaps. We've just been acquiring talent all over the place. Maybe I'll start getting a little more picky about where that talent is and how it fits into our short and long-term plan. Nice play, Johnny Grieve to his feet and across. Down goes Alejandro Kirk as Meyer drills the inside corner. Home run, Evan Carter. 4-0 lead now. Line to center, Ruiz makes the play. That is thankfully foul. That one is fair, though. It's going to reach the wall. Pete Crow Armstrong to second. Doesn't hit the brakes. Wants 3 and gets it. Tapped it. PCA running the whole way. And can't get Nico Horner. Blasted to left field now. Dansby Swanson on a 2-0 fastball. Crushes it. And it's a 4-3 game. Busted the bat of Michael Busch. Please get that, Johnny. Nice job. That's all you got now. That's like a level 2 dagger. Over Meyer. Ducked under a Rowdy Tellez base hit. Trying to limit damage now the rest of the way against Chicago. Full count from Meyer. Perfect slider. He gets Kirk again. Nice changeup falling out of the zone. Kicks away now from Cole Carrig. How many times have we seen this? In the air, left center. Ruiz tracks it down. My thought right now when it comes to Yuri Perez is that he's basically at peak value already. He's a 90 overall player with 90 overall potential. He's in his mid-20s. Like, he's never going to be more valuable than he is right now in my eyes. But I feel like I want to play this out because I want to know a couple years from now how good these pitchers are. I need to know if we have like 3 or 4 hits. If we have Perez looking good, and then Meyer's good, and maybe Robbie Snelling plus another guy, it's like, okay, 4 pitchers, hard to keep all those guys around. You know, maybe then you choose the financial strategy route. We can keep, you know, 1.5 guys for the price of Yuri Perez, and it changes the math there. It's easier to sign him if our pitchers don't pan out, right? But I figure there's just no discount to signing Perez long term. Let's just go to the end of his contract, perhaps, and then make that decision when we have more info. If we pay him now, we're not really I don't see how it benefits us down the road. Rolling that over. It's going to be Hank's play. And that's on the ground, chasing a slider, and 2 down. Ran into some trouble earlier, but now he's hit cruise control, and even the pitch count isn't much of a factor.
Nope, that's the ball. Hey.
A lot of swings and misses on the slider, too. It's drawn a lot of chasing. Good changeup to follow.
1 ball, 2 strikes.
What he needs to complement that now is a nice overpowering fastball. Got him! 96 from Noblemeyer. Those last 3 innings were excellent. They took him out of the game, and we're going to finish things off here against the Cubs. It's the last game before September call-ups. I'm thinking I'm going to do a stream tomorrow. The day after, I'll show highlights from that stream. Holder knocks it down. Won't get to Les. And then I'll do one last episode, I think, to close out the season. And the focus of our next episode is going to be trying to win Rookie of the Year with Hank Holder. I think that's the only thing really left for this year. Johnny Grieve is here. That ball is crushed. Back and gone. And the Cubs take the lead. Alejandro Kirk crushes a slider.
No, that's it.
Nardi gives up the lead and walks the next man. Getting ahead now of PCA. He tells me he's getting tired before he even records an out. I guess that's 3 batters. I am totally down for a change. Turning it over now to Ronnie Enriquez with a 10.8 K rate. Seriously, 10.8? We need some more strikeout pitching here. Holder, that's 1. Another guy that I think we'll move on from in the offseason is Valente Biozo. He is now out of options, by the way. And also his strikeout numbers are just too low. He's 27. He's not going to be a starter with us. That's become clear to me the last 2 years. Climbing the ladder, 98. Bride is there to handle this ball, and we'll head to the 8th. Now on the wrong side of the scoreboard. Luke Little, the lefty, comes out. Nice sweeper. Just catches the inside edge. Here's Johnny Grieve. He has a homer. He hit his first home run, and he's batting .347. And now hits a fly ball into center for out number 2.
3-2.
3-2 count now as we have Estieri Ruiz. He draws the 2-out walk. And off the bench, here comes Connor Norby to face a lefty. Runner goes, and the inside pitch misses. And now we're a base hit from tying the game. 3-0. And the count now, full 3-2. Got him on a sweeper again. Not the same pitch to Carter, but that sweeper is very deceiving. Over Bride by a couple inches. Base hit. And he missed up to Ward, who's going to test the range of Norby. And it's out of reach. Into the corner. Firing back in. And it's second and third. Nobody out for Chicago. In that case, we're making a move with back-to-back lefties coming up. And we know we need strikeouts. So this is our break in case of emergency plan. Jose Hernandez. That's not a strikeout. That's probably going to be a run. Carter will fire home. And it's a 2-run Cubs lead. We got Tellez to ground out. Oh, boy. Stop throwing up like that. Popped him up. And the Marlins will need a pair in the 9th. Porter Hodge on to close it. Having a lot of trouble against lefties this year, and the ERA's 5.66. All right, Cole Carrig, 3 homers on the year, 26 RBIs. Carrig, left field, it's caught. Base hit, yes, Edwards is on. And that means Holder has a chance to be the tying run. Oh boy, you don't want to miss high. 17 homers on the year, hitting .270. Oh boy, that's past the catcher, and off the second goes Edwards. No! He comes back to strike him out on the splitter. And that's going to leave it up to Lopez now. And Hodge nails it down. I got to get in some practice here. My timing has just gone all over the place in the last week. Marlins drop this one to the Cubs, a winnable game. And that wraps up the month of August. There are just a few weeks to go in the season. We are now 8.5 games back in the East. We are not in last place. Shohei Ohtani is the current MVP leader in the National League. Roki Sasaki, current Cy Young leader, ahead of another Dodger, Blake Snell. And then for Rookie of the Year, it is still Hank Holder in first place. Craig Johnson neck and neck with him. He has a better average, an additional homer. Now, Johnson plays first base, so I imagine defensively is not accruing the same value Holder is playing third and now shortstop. And if WAR is an important factor in this, then Holder has him beat. And then Darrell Ingram here with a .265 average is also having a very nice first year in the majors, but right now coming in third place in this race. Griffin Conine has been getting more everyday opportunities, and he's turned this into his best major league stretch yet. 70 at-bats, not a lot, but 2 homers, 5 doubles. The slash line looks really clean. Johnny Greaves, 74 overall, that hasn't changed, and his first 50 at-bats at the majors have been very productive. First homer came against Philadelphia. Down at AAA, we have Dane Myers playing very well. Jacob Berry has cooled off, and it seems quite a lot. His average is now under 300. Berry could come up in September. We'll see. It's really only worth it if he actually is getting some playing time. But the development's been great. And in that prospect stream, I'll be excited to get some at-bats in with the new 70 overall outfielder. Chet Sparbori at 71 has gotten a nice power versus lefty boost. And then Augustin Ramirez. I believe at one point he was like a 75, if I'm not mistaken. And then he went down to a 73. But getting him time at AAA has reset him a bit. Now only the power is slightly down. That's brought him to 74 overall again. And he is hitting better at AAA, but definitely not in a way that's going to get him back at the majors probably this year. The slugging percentage is still low, so I understand that power going down. But this is a little hiccup in his development. Next year at the Bigs, he'll of course be our starting catcher again. Hopefully he stays there all season. Drew Jones, haven't really talked about him much this season. He did get 52 Major League at-bats earlier. Then it was clear he needed some AAA time, where he's not really hit all that great, but has gotten some development. So he'll be a player to revisit next year and beyond. If we option him again in Season 4, that'll be his last Major League option. So we're kind of up against the clock next year. Tyler Soderstrom, 17 homers. Now, if we think about the possibility of Jonah Bride not being our first baseman, which is a sad thought, Soderstrom's here, and he could always get the call up and take on that role. Starlin Caba is now a 70. He's in that range where you think about calling a guy up. He is currently considered the 11th best shortstop prospect, actually. I would have honestly guessed first, second, third, maybe. But there are other shortstops that project better offensively or have higher potential. At the AA level, I've been impressed with the development this year for guys like Nathan Martorella and PJ Morlando. His ratings are offensively, I think, pretty close to a guy like Drew Jones, only 21 years old, so still plenty of time. And he has kind of that Dane Myers position flexibility. He can play the corner infield and the corner outfield. Kyle Stowers is now a 61. He's gone up 1 or 2 overall points this season. Because of his overall, I don't think anybody would ever really claim him, but I could see him being a player that we stick around with this series for a long time. He's been productive and fun. Just had a walk-off grand slam against Mason Miller in real life the other day. Joe Brown, what the heck happened here? A cold streak has knocked down his lefty ratings significantly. Work on that, please. Luke Keeschel, 68. He's had a disappointing season at the plate this year, so next year at age 25, a big season for him overall. And Andreas Ruiz called him up, and he's now into the 60 overall club. I'd have him as an ETA of 2030 player, year 6 of the series, assuming things go well development-wise. And Vladimir Ortiz is now a 64 overall starting pitcher. Down at the AA level, he has posted 72 strikeouts and 95 innings. So, gonna keep him down there until the strikeout numbers come up. Maybe we give him a 4th pitch in the offseason. And that'll wrap up another episode here in the Miami Marlins franchise. We laid a very important brick today with that Hank Holder extension. We're committed to him now for the long haul in this series, and I'm excited to see how everything comes together. Thank you all for watching today's video. Leave your thoughts down below in the comments. Leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next episode. Have a great day.